Now I want to take a moment and do a quick overview of everything that we're going to be covering in this tutorial, because there are a lot of steps involved, and I thought it might help to just get an overview ahead of time. Really, the first thing that you need to do in your original FileMaker files is prepare them. Now, what I mean by preparation is that because you have a multi-file solution, which means that each file has its own set of layouts, its own set of scripts, its own set of value lists, and its own set of relationships. All of these are going to be merged ultimately into our new solution. And therefore you need to do some preparation by going through each one of those files and renaming all of your layouts, all of your value lists, all of your scripts, so that they can be identified as having come from the file that they originated in, and to prevent having any duplicate file names or duplicate names, whether we're talking about layout names, value list names, or script names, or relationship names. You don't want to have any duplicates in your final merged copy. So we'll be doing a prep of the original files. And then once we've done that, we will, using FileMaker Pro Advanced, you'll need to export a database design report from the modified original file set. And that DDR will be used by FM Robot to automate many of the tasks that you would otherwise have to do by hand. So that DDR is a critical part of this process, but you don't create the DDR until you've renamed everything. The next step will be to create a new master file. This will be the file that we merge everything into. And then to go through a setup process where we'll be setting up all of our base tables, and we'll also set up all of our layout names. We do this in advance before actually copying over the layouts. We will then recreate all of our table occurrence names so that they match the original files. And we'll bring over all of our custom functions, our value lists, fields, and also our scripts. Now, once all of those have been brought over, we're going to have to go back over these, and we're going to have to finish each one of them up. The reason for this is that FM Robot, for example, when FM Robot brings over all of your fields, if you have any calculation fields or lookup fields, as you are bringing over the fields, you'll be bringing them over one table at a time. Therefore, you won't have all of the tables in place when you first start. And therefore, any calculation fields that use a relationship to look for other fields and other tables won't be able to find those fields yet because you haven't brought them all over. And the way that FM Robot handles this is by simply commenting out the calculation portion of that field definition. It will also add a comment into the database setup window so that when you look at the comments column, you'll be able to see right away where these comments were made and why, and then you can just go in and uncomment those or reassign the lookups or whatever it recommends. It makes it pretty painless, actually, but the first thing we do is we have to go in now at this stage and just set up, finish setting up our relationships. So we'll get into that step when we reach it. Next, what we'll do is we'll finish setting up the fields. Again, we have to go into those fields, especially the calculation fields, and uncomment the calculation areas where these were commented by FM Robot, and also deal with anything like lookup fields and things like that. Next, we'll import our records from our original file into the new file. And the reason we want these is so we have some sample data that we can use when we're setting up our layouts. Next, we'll finish enabling all of our scripts. The enabling process is just a generic term I use, which really means going into the scripts that we've imported and doing whatever we need to do with those in order to get those to work. And we'll talk more about that when we reach this step. And then we'll finally go back to the layouts where we created the layout names, but we hadn't actually copied over all of the layout objects. And so those will be brought in at this stage, and any adjustments that need to be made to those will be made in this step. If you need to use custom menus in your solution, this is a good time to set those up in the new file. And because if those are going to be used, let's say, in your accounts and permissions, you'll want to have those set up before you set up your accounts and permissions. Then we'll go and set up our accounts and privileges, and we'll do that in the new file as well. Now, you could do this in the up-converted version of the FileMaker 10 multi-file solution, but there you would have to go in and do it over and over again for each one of the 16 files in the solution that we're working with. It makes no sense to do that. It's better to do the migration and then go in and set up your accounts and privileges just once. And then we'll do a final review where we go through the scripts, and this is where we'll bring in Inspector to look at our solution that we've imported and migrated everything into, to see what else needs to be done, especially in the script area, and we'll get to that stage at the end. And then when all of this is done, you just want to test your results. And I do recommend that when you test results, 2 sets of eyes are better than 1. So after you're done testing, you'll want to get somebody, maybe your client, to go in and review everything that you've done and see if they can find any problems that might need correcting. So these are all the steps that we're going to be doing. Now, we're going to deal with these one at a time, so let's begin now with prepping our original files.